In the early goings of the film that would eventually become Spider-Man No Way Home, there was many discussions in regards to what villains from the multiverse would be used in the final battle. Due to the ongoing discussions between Sony, Marvel Studios, and Disney, the plan very early on was to use Venom after Venom Let There Be Carnage in the final battle in Spider-Man No Way Home. But ultimately, the decision was made to cut him from the film and only keep him in the post-credit scene. So pretty much with every project, Marvel Studios and Disney are always reworking the script from whatever the initial first version is to the days that they're shooting on set where they're adding new lines and changing it around to of course even reshoots. The script is always evolving. Recently, the writers of Spider-Man No Way Home were doing the rounds talking about the film, and they were asked about Venom. And of course, we've already talked about why Venom was booted out of the MCU, and this is a whole other story on its own that I don't want to get into here. That video's already up. I'll make sure I pop it up there if I remember. Either way, though, they go into the whole idea of Venom, what happened with Venom at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, specifically him getting tossed into the MCU, and then of course, what was going to be the plan. And they said very early on when they were writing the scripts, writing the drafts, and coming up with the ideas and what villains would be featured in the final battle, we all remember that very early on, everybody was saying, including people that were spot on with every other leak in relation to this film, that the original idea was to have 6 villains, thus hinting at the Sinister Six, while the writers reveal Venom was originally planned to make an appearance in the third act and join the fight. And they don't go further into why the decision was made to cut him and why the decision was made to boot him out of the MCU immediately, but I think once you start to understand the politics of the studios, what they were doing, stepping all over one another, the rivalry, you start to understand that Sony wanted him in there, and this was their sort of, hey, we'll meet you in the middle. But ultimately, the decision was made, hey, how about we kind of meet in a different middle where you leave a piece behind, he quickly visited over here, we can go forward, we don't have to, mess things up and try to explain things in a difficult way and kind of confuse people that haven't seen Venom. And I think this was probably the right decision to make. But it's interesting to note that they were at one point, very much so, going to include him in the third act. But I think, again, that would have been a disservice to everybody. Because again, a third film with Spider-Man having a rushed Venom just tossed in there and then facing off against each other, again, that's very much repeating Spider-Man 3, and I think they all wanted to avoid that comparison again. So the decision was made, cut him and we'll figure something else out. Now, whatever happens next and what they figure out, well, I guess we'll figure that out when it comes to Venom 3 or whatever else happens next.